Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I'm doing a Q&A on my color theory binder that I made in college a couple decades ago at least. And I wanted to show you and answer some of the in-depth questions about it. So on the first page we're looking at Ultramarine blue, which is a warm blue, and Prussian blue, which is a cool blue. And all this is the paint straight out of the tube, the perfect hue. And then we slowly add more white to do a range of tints. And then we slowly add a little more black to get a range of shades. And this one we add a combination of the same amounts of white and black to the blue in higher quantity to get different hues. So that's how this swatch page was made, with the pigment color we're highlighting and then a white and a black. And that was done for the Siennas, for warm and cool yellows, for the Umbers. Now this page right here, and this is cadmium yellow medium and cadmium red medium, and these are both warm. So this is the warm yellow and the warm red. Now these are the hues mixed together in quantity. So this would be 50% of each one, 25% red, 75%. Let's see, hold on. I think this one is 25% red and 75% yellow, and this is 50-50, and this one would be the 75% red, 25% yellow. So these are a quarter, or 75% of, and then a quarter of the opposing, and then this is half and half. And then with this color, you add slowly more black. With this color, you add more and more white. So you go off this range, if that makes sense. So this would be the 50-50 of half and half, and then you slowly add more black. You slowly add more white. So you want to see the shades of it, and you want to see the tints, and you want to see the shades. And that's how you make these sheets. So let's look at this one. This is lemon yellow Hansa, and this is ultramarine blue. These are both cool, or this is warm, this is cool, and this is 50-50. This is more, about 75% Hansa. This one would be 75% ultramarine. And then from there, you add more black for the shades. Here you add more white for the tints. And you can keep going. You could do more than 3 tints, and you could do more than 4 shades. It's up to you and what you want for your reference book. But when you compare it and look at them, so here's ultramarine blue with cadmium yellow. Here's ultramarine blue with lemon yellow. Like, I really like this green, this lemon yellow with the ultramarine over the cadmium yellow with the ultramarine, but I really like this tint more. So this is where having a color mixing chart, no matter what level you're at on your painting journey, whether it be, acrylic, gouache, watercolor, why having charts like these are really super helpful, and why I've kept this all these years. Like, this is why I've kept this, because I want to know, do I like ultramarine more, or do I like Prussian blue more? And here's Alizarin, which is cool, and cadmium, which is warm. And you look at some of the color, some of them are really similar. So if I'm out of a color, if I run out of Prussian blue and I have cadmium, I can still kind of make this color. It's fairly similar. So it also helps if you run out of paint, what you can use to sort of recreate that. And some of these are warms. And see, this is a cool, that's warm, that's cool. Warm, warm, warm. The other questions I received were about, I'm going to show you, and I'll link the original video in case you're like, whoa, you're going way too fast. That's true. What these are. So this would be two colors I chose. It looks like Prussian blue and it looks like Hansa yellow. And I did a stipple effect of what that looks like. Now, if you combine those two colors together, you get a green. And I laid down the green, and then I stippled these two colors again over the top. So this one is a mixture laid down first of these two colors, and it totally changes the effect of background of what pops and what doesn't pop. So what comes forward and what recedes. Did I successfully make a cool yellow come forward by doing this? So here's another one. This is cadmium red, and this is yellow. This is cadmium yellow medium, and they've been combined to make an orange that I laid down a circle first, and then I re-stippled this on top of the individual pigments onto the hue combination to see what that would look like, to see what would come forward and what would recede. And here's another example where it's really, really difficult to see. When you combine this red and this blue, and you get a deep dark purple, and then you then go to stipple these colors back onto it, they're lost. But I would say this is stronger and brighter than this if they're just standing alone. Like your eye goes here before it goes here. So it's an interesting study. I received a question about how long this class was. This class was a semester, and this was the end of the year project, was to create a reference book, but we also had weekly projects. So we had things where we would have to write a word paint a word on a piece of paper and then do a background with its complement to sort of highlight that, to sort of recreate what some of these companies are doing with their marketing and advertising, with how they use colors and want things to pop with their complement. The other portion that was in this class was a lecture portion where we looked at art history, and we actually looked at a slideshow or a PowerPoint, either one, same difference. And it was of historical famous art pieces, Degas, Van Gogh, and we looked, are they using complements? Are they using things across the color wheel to make these colors pop and highlight? What part of color theory are they using? What aren't they using? What is working? What isn't working? And that was a really, really interesting way of looking at art history and just looking at famous paintings in a whole new way. I want to show you a book. And this is the history book we have for our kids because we homeschool. And this is the 15th edition. It's Gardner's Art Through the Ages. And there's a newer edition out, but this is what we go by. I got this gently used for about $40 US online. And if you wanted to look at art history and see and compare complementary colors on the color wheel, here's the green, here's the red. They're opposite each other. And then they added a blue to make that pop. If you wanted to look through art history, through architecture, through some choices that artists have made, this is a really nice book. I would say that this is probably college level, but we sort of cherry pick out of it for our kids because the twins are 10 and our eldest is 13. But it has a really nice smattering of things from around the world, and I like to be inclusive with our art history. So yeah, for paintings and things, like if you're looking at Degas, Woman in a Bath, or Van Gogh's Starry Night, I'm trying to think of really famous paintings everyone has seen. If you're looking at a Picasso, he was really good at picking exact pigments and putting them together to make them pop in his compositions. So that would just be another aspect of the color theory class. If you were interested in taking a class like that, what it might entail. Daily projects, maybe a reference book at the end, and definitely some sort of lecture where they highlight different art pieces and things from around the world. I'm trying to think where my daughter's bookmark is. It's right here. She's been doing more impressionism, pointillism, looking at some of those things. So here's One in a Bath, or The Tub. There's different versions of this book, of that painting, and I think there's pastels of it as well. And you look at Toulouse-Lautrec, and he's considered like the godfather of graphic design with some of his posters. And some of his posters really show a clear usage of color theory. And these look like really nice colors on the color wheel that sit next to each other. And here's Van Gogh's Starry Night. So these are complementary. The blue and the yellow, he has bits of orange in that yellow that really make it pop and stand out. Here's another one. Here's Night Cafe. You have the green and the red. These are complementary colors. So that's kind of how you would do that color theory book. That's the questions I received, and this was the other portion of the class in case you were curious. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.